Everybody, it's JetsCentral coming back with another video, and this is the first video of this new series where we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming 2019 free agents and really diving in and determining whether or not these players would be good fits for the New York Jets. Now, as we all know, the New York Jets have a lot of money, right, in free agency. We have a ton of cap space, and we have Adam Gase coming in the building, new offensive system. We got Greg Williams coming in the building, new defensive system. So it leads us to believe that the Jets will be pretty active this upcoming March, right? I think it's mid-March, March 13th, I believe. Not 100% sure, but I believe free agency day one is March 13th. But anyway, this series is going to be dedicated to the upcoming 2019 class, and we're going to be taking it player by player, video by video. And please let me know down below in the comment section, who do you guys want to see next? You know, I have like a list of 25 guys that I want to make a video on. Some big names, some aren't big names, all over, defense, offense, O-line, wide receiver, all that stuff. So there's going to be a lot of players that are going to be covered, and expect a lot of videos throughout the course of February, and then of course early March. But like I said, let me know your thoughts and really put the player that you want to see next up down below in the comments section, and we'll go from there. But this episode is going to be about Demarcus Lawrence, the defensive end edge rusher from the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Lawrence is set to hit the market, and this guy right now he's coming off two amazing seasons. I mean, back in 2017, this guy had 14.5 sacks for Dallas, and then last season, he had 10.5 sacks. So this guy has shown, Lawrence was kind of a late bloomer, because he was a high second-round pick, so Dallas had high expectations for him, but he didn't really do much over the first few seasons of his career. I know he got suspended early on. He was just having a hard time finding playing time. Long story short, he was a late bloomer. Once he finally got a little consistent, playing out in the field, all of a sudden his production just went through the roof. And 2017 is where he really came onto the scene. But Lawrence is a guy, if I had a few words to describe him, I would say he's a violent player. He's feisty, and he's a grinder, right? When you watch him play, he's not really that tactical. He just tries to outpower you. That's okay, because obviously he's dominating doing that, or playing with that style. Now, Dallas does run the 4-3, but of course in sub packages they keep him out on the field in that with his hand in the dirt. So he has been able to get after the passer through third downs, which is very important. Lawrence, he's a complete player. He never has to come off the field. Now, you don't really want to see Demarcus Lawrence drop back in coverage. That's not really where his strengths lie. You kind of, if the Jets were to go out and sign Lawrence, you kind of just want him to pin his ears back and go sick the quarterback. Just go after him. That's what he specializes at. That's what he's been dominating at doing for the last two seasons, really. Now, like I said before, he tries to outpower the opponents, the right tackles and stuff like that. That's actually a quick little interesting point, that Demarcus Lawrence actually plays on the right side of the defensive line. Normally the strong side. And I think that's really interesting, because normally the better defensive ends, or the best defensive ends on NFL defenses normally lined up on the blind side, right, on the weak side. But it's not the case with Lawrence. Lawrence prefers to line up on that right side of the line, which tells me that if the Jets were to sign Demarcus Lawrence and plug him in at that strong side edge rusher, we would also have the flexibility to go out and get like a guy like Ziggy Ansah, right, or a Cameron Wake, or another guy to plug in at that left defensive end position, the weak side, and it won't be a problem for Demarcus Lawrence, because normally, like you see a lot, like Myles Garrett in Cleveland, you could go down the list of all the really good pass rushers. They normally line up on that left side. That's kind of the marquee 4-3 edge role. But Lawrence doesn't have a problem lining up on the opposite side, which is a very, very good thing, a very beneficial thing for a defensive coordinator moving forward, knowing that there's not going to be any in-house disputes or anything crazy like that. So Lawrence lines up on the right side, and like I was, alluding to before, he tends to outpower the opponents. He does what he does what needs to be done to get after the passer. Whether when you watch him play, it's really crazy, because when you watch him play, he's just the definition of a hustler. He rarely takes plays off. He just does what he needs to do. Whether it's getting a hand in there, whether it's just completely shoving the offensive lineman down, whether it's just hanging around back there waiting for the quarterback to kind of move his way, then he attacks. He has a lot of different tactics that he play, that you could tell when you watch him that's going on in his head. He does a lot of different stuff, but he's not really that tactical of a player. He doesn't have a ton of moves that he can do off the line of scrimmage, which I guess brings me to my next point, which is he's really good off the line of scrimmage. Now, like I said, he doesn't have a lot of moves, right? Like he's not that effective as a spin. He doesn't really have a spin move or a swim move. He kind of just bull rushes through, and he has a lot of success doing that. But one of the reasons why I think he has a lot of success just powering through and just flying around the tackles is because he gets such a great jump. When you watch his jump off the line of scrimmage, it's really, really good. It's really exciting to watch because the Jets jump, I mean, quite frankly, and granted, we have been playing in a 3-4 system, but whoever it's been, Wilkerson, Leonard Williams, Henry Anderson this past season, we don't really have that player that is that initial jump starter, right? When you watch Lawrence on tape, I mean, if you go in, whatever, just go watch an old Dallas Cowboy game or even, just going on YouTube and typing in like Demarcus Lawrence highlights or something like that, you're going to see Demarcus Lawrence, he's the first one to move. As soon as the ball is snapped, the offensive line hasn't moved just yet. The defensive line hasn't moved just yet, but there's that split second, there's that hair of a second where Demarcus Lawrence is already moving, and he gets that I guess the first mover bias, if you will, or the first mover the benefit, because he jumps off the line and he gets such a great jump, and that's really where Demarcus Lawrence is where his gift lies, is his ability to get off the line of scrimmage before anybody else. And you mix that with his power, you mix that with his mentality of getting after the quarterback, and he's just a violent player, and he's not afraid to hit the quarterback hard. I mean, you've seen this guy in interviews too. He's not afraid to speak his mind and say what he believes. I remember watching like a few interviews with him where he said that he was going to like choke the Saints out and stuff like that back when the Cowboys played the Saints leading up to that primetime game. He had another interview too where he just says like he craves like to see fear in quarterbacks' eyes. I mean, looking at it from that aspect, I like players that play with that edge because they play, I don't want to say they play violent, but they play tough and they play aggressive. They're not going to take plays off like a Muhammad Wilkerson, where you just see like he doesn't really care. Is he out there for a paycheck? You never have to question a guy's intensity. So Demarcus Lawrence, he brings it every day. He practices hard. He gets after the quarterback. I also believe that his psyche, his mentality would be a great fit with Greg Williams. Almost like Lawrence would be just an extension of the defensive coordinator. So you take a look at all those things, right? Mentality, production, all of his good traits that he brings to the table, but you have to bring up his red flags. Now, a few red flags is that he has been, or he has had some major injuries, right? He's played through a torn labrum. That's not good. I read that. I don't know how true this is, but he played 2 seasons with a torn labrum. That's not that good. He had back surgery, and then he's also been suspended 1 time. So you have to take a look at those things. You have to take those things into consideration, that this guy has had some off the field trouble and he's had an injury history. But I think it will be worth it if the New York Jets go out and sign Demarcus Lawrence. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to be pumped up. I'm going to be psyched. And right now, if you're looking at Lawrence, I would have to say he's going to sign a deal between $14 and $16 million per season. That's kind of the range I put him in, because he's not an upper echelon type of Khalil Mack, Von Miller style of pass rusher where he just completely changes the game, but he's a consistent pass rusher. Well, at least he's been consistent over the past 2 years. And you're not going to pay him top dollar because it isn't like this isn't like the quarterback market, but all things considered, he's still a top 10 defensive end and edge rusher, whatever, pass rusher. So he will command, a decent amount, a large contract, but it's not going to be some mega $150 million crazy thing like Khalil Mack or, Von Miller. So, or even an Aaron Donald for that matter. So I think $14 to $16 million, but since the New York Jets have a ton of cap space available, I could see them going over that. I could see them really dabbling in the realm of $17 million at the high end. But all in all, like I said, if the Jets were to go out and sign Demarcus Lawrence, I would love it. He brings the attitude, he brings production, he fills a need that the Jets haven't had in a very, very, very long time. I mean, Wilkerson's season, where I think he had, I think it was like 12 and a half sacks. That was like the best pass rushing season that the Jets have had in a very long time. I mean, Demarcus Lawrence has, I mean, he's a better pass rusher than Wilkerson. Let's just be honest here, and he's more of a system fit than really any of the guys that we currently have at the edge rusher position. So we're going to be upgrading. He's a proven pass rusher. He's respected around the league, and he also is going to bring intensity to the locker room. So Demarcus Lawrence, I would love it. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section on Demarcus Lawrence. Do you like him? Do you not want him? And yeah, can't wait to see it. And like I said before, this series, I have like tons of players lined up at all different positions. And let me know your thoughts on who you guys want to see next. So let me know. And as always, go Jets.